Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Elma, and today I have Manny and Sarah from Blue Project Management Team. And I just want to introduce to you quickly what is Blue Project Management. So, Blue Project Management is one of those simplest project management software that I have encountered. I mean, it's so easy to use, you don't need a manual for it. Like, it's very intuitive. And as far as I know, there are over 6,000 organizations that are now using Blue, and I'm one of them. So let's have Manny and Sarah with us, and they will introduce to us what Blue is all about and how can we use Blue for our business. So, hi, Manny and Sarah. Good morning again.
Good morning.
And can you please introduce yourself? So, Manny is the CEO of Blue.
Yeah, sure thing. So I started Blue about just over 4 years ago, and really out of frustration in running my own agency. So doing projects for clients. Um, we were using a few other tools, and they were getting really expensive as the team was growing. So I wanted to then decide to kind of build my own simpler and easier to use version of those, and also to then take it to market at a much cheaper, more affordable price. Yeah, yeah, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah, the customer success at Blue. So I speak a lot with customers and dealing with the issues and also help resolving if there's any bugs. I'll try to report it to our engineer team as well. So we try to get that for our customers.
Okay. And just to let everyone know from the time perspective where we are, I'm actually based in Hong Kong where it's GMT plus 8, and Blue, Manny, and Sarah are based in Cambodia where it's GMT plus 7. So we are in a different time zone. So that's the reason why we did the show really early for most of the people, our viewers in US and in Europe. But no worries, you still have a chance to watch this, and I'll share the link to our YouTube video later. Okay, so let's start, Manny and Sarah.
Yeah, so we can jump into the demo, right?
Yes. So we
Cool.
will have a demo on how to use Blue as a CRM and for forms.
Yeah, sure thing. And let me share my screen. So great. Let me know if you can see that.
Yes, we can see your screen. Thank you.
Cool, great. So I'm actually on the Mac version of Blue, but it's worth pointing out you can, once you sign up to Blue, you can essentially use that on the web. We have a Mac and Windows app, and also we have iOS and Android, so you can also use it on the go as well. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the kind of general setup of Blue, and then I'll kind of jump into specifically to kind of CRM and how forms work as well. So when you when you log in, essentially we show you who's kind of been recently active and also your kind of recent activities. So any comments you may have received, anybody's kind of pinged you, you can kind of instantly see that, right? Because it's important to be able to communicate to your team members, right? As you do that. Then the kind of next tab down is all activity, which essentially is anytime anything happens across any of your projects, we'll basically turn that into kind of a feed that you can scroll through and see what's happened historically. What's nice about this also is that you can filter that by person and also by tag and by date. So you can kind of go back in time and say, oh, I want to know what happened between a certain dates. You can kind of do that, and you can instantly filter and get that view that you want, right? Then you have my to-dos, so anything that's assigned to you across any project. It could be a deal if you're in a CRM, or if it's in a project, it could be a task. That basically gets collected under my to-dos, and then you can see that and then quickly look at that. And then finally, we have a calendar which pulls in all your to-dos from all your projects that have a due date, and then you can display that in one calendar. And I think what's nice to point out here as well, you're able to sync this calendar or any calendar in any project to your personal calendar, wherever that's on Google, on Outlook, or on Microsoft Calendar, right? So that's really, really handy. Cool. Let's go ahead and create a project, and I want to show how simple that can be. So when you create a new project, essentially you've got two options. You can start a completely blank project, or you can choose a template. And then what you can do with the templates, you can either choose from your own organizational templates, or we also have pre-made some templates for everyone based on the conversations that Sera has with customers. And so we've looked at kind of best practices for a whole bunch of different functional areas, and so you can kind of get started on that. So we'll go on Sales CRM. You'll get a bit of an explanation on how to use this template, and then you can say, okay, let's go ahead and use that. And then you can actually create your own name for projects. So I'll go ahead and call this Blue Sales CRM. I'll call that B2 because we've got already one. And then I can say, okay, do I want to invite other people to this project, or do I want to do that later? So this time I'll skip. But it's worth noting that the in Blue, all the permissions are per project. So you can have lots of different projects, different team members, or even virtual assistants, contractors, or clients in each project, and they can only see that project. They can't see people in other projects. They can't see the data in other projects. So it's a great way to limit access, across your organization to just what people need to be able to access. So yeah, once you've created this project, you can see now on the template we've got a board view here. Essentially, on the CRM, the general idea is to go from left to right, add your different prospects, and then essentially move them across the board as you take each step. So you might have a prospect coming in through a form that's qualified. You're then going to reach back out, move them to contact, and so on. So the idea to then follow that process, your own process, and go all the way to closed one or to lost, right? What's great about the board is that obviously it's fully customizable, so you can rename any board. You can also delete a particular column if you don't like that, or you can also create new ones. So the entire process is fully customizable. Then within a to-do, so this is kind of the standard look of a to-do, but then you can actually modify on each project what data you want a specific to-do to have. So for instance, for Sales CRM, you may want to manage your fields and add new fields. So for instance, you might want to have deal amount, right? So in that case, we can create a currency custom field called deal amount. Let's have that. We support a lot of different currencies as well. So for instance, in this case, we'll choose Australian dollar, and then we can kind of create that. And then you can instantly see that's reflected here as well. And another example, a good example might be, okay, we want the prospect email, and then we can actually choose the email field. And then, for instance, one more, we can say phone number, and then choose the phone number. And what's great about this is that each of these custom fields is kind of content aware. So, if I put 10,000 Australian dollars, it will automatically format it in the right manner for that currency, right? And then if you've got an email field, again, that we'll do a check to make sure that the email is formatted correctly. And then you've got one-click ability to send an email, which will open your default email client, or you can instantly copy the content as well. And the same thing with the phone number. So we've got support for all the international codes. We'll automatically, by default, pick the international code of where you are, and then you can enter your phone number, and we'll format it for that particular country as well. So this is very, very powerful because it allows you to get structured data, and this plays very nicely with being able to import data and export data out of Blue as well. And this comes into play quite nicely when you switch views. So we've actually got different views for your data in Blue within a project. So what you're seeing now is the board view. But let me add a due date here. So in this case, I can also switch to calendar. and then I can see my deal on the calendar, so I know when I need to take action. And then you can also, as you would expect, drag and drop or modify the start date and the due date of that deal, and then I can also click to open it on the calendar view as well. A very popular view for CRM, apart from board, is actually the database. Because essentially, this gives you a database of all your customers. And what you can notice here is that the custom fields I just set up earlier, for instance, deal amount, email, and phone number, are now displayed as columns in the database view, which is really, really handy because from there you can then instantly see all your customers, all your details. You can then copy the amount and so on. So you can do a lot of things from this. And from the database view as well, the other nice thing you can do is that you can group the to-dos based on, say, list or tags or even assignees. So for instance, I can drag something up here, and then it will instantly organize the database by list. So for instance, I can go here and see that I have one qualified prospect, right? And then the other lists are empty, so they don't show. And you can repeat the same things with different, so for instance, with tags, and you can see it by tag. So you can really choose to view things the way that suits you. And then talking about views, sometimes when you get a lot of deals, you're going to want to categorize these using tags, right? So for instance, in this case, you can see that in this prospect, we have product service 1 and Facebook. So that would indicate that, okay, they're interested in this particular service and that they came in through the channel Facebook, right? And what's great about the tags is that you can then filter by the tag. So for instance, I could say, okay, show me only customers that came in through Facebook. I can click that, and then it will hide everything else. You can see that all the to-dos on how to use this then disappeared, right? And then I can go back up to the filter or just click on the tag on the card, and then it will show again all the items. So it's a very, very powerful way to instantly see what you need to see and hide everything else, which is great if you have a really, really busy sales CRM as well. I think a last thing I want to cover on this view, which is quite powerful, is the automations. So obviously, everybody hates doing busy work and administration work, and automations is a way to keep work moving forwards without actually having to monitor every little thing. So as an example, essentially you have, with automations, you can say, okay, you can say when something happens. So for instance, a common thing for sales CRM is when a to-do is moved to another list. And you could say, for instance, preparing proposal. So when something gets to the preparing proposal stage, then you may want to trigger some actions, right? So you could, for instance, assign somebody. So then I can choose myself in this case. So when a to-do is moved to prepare proposal, assign somebody, and that's Manny. And then you can also stack up the actions as well. So I could say, okay, I also want to change the due date and have 7 days from when this automation is triggered. And then we give you a nice, simple overview at the bottom, so you know that what you're doing, and then you can create. And you can create multiple automations as well from that. And then now you'll see that the automations robot there has got a little light turned on, which showcases that something is there. And then when I move this item to prepare proposal, you'll see that it is now instantly assigned to me, and the due date is shifted by 7 days. So it's a great way to begin to automate work, and you can imagine setting different automations across your entire process. Just keep things moving forward much faster than they otherwise would. Great. So one of the key things for sales CRM that our customers use a lot is forms, because they can put a form, they can link to a form, or we can even, we support embedding forms on a website. And so essentially you can have your potential customers fill in a form, and then you can get their data directly into Blue. You can be notified, you can see that, and then you can contact them back. Creating a form is super easy. You can have an unlimited number of forms per project. Essentially what you're looking at is a form builder. So we can call this kind of new customer form. And then any of the custom fields that you've defined, previously, you can then drag and drop and rearrange. So as an example, I can say, okay, I want the title, I want the deal amount, which, in this case, we could call budget on the form. And then we can obviously have the contact details of the customer and also the phone number. For any field, you can decide wherever this is required or as an optional one as well. And then finally, you can also, you've got powered by Blue at the bottom, but if you want to hide that, you can. And also you can choose the color of the form as well. So then that will change the look and feel of that to more closely match your brand, right? A few other key things here. You can then choose which list you want to save your form to. So in this case, we'll do qualified prospects. You can automatically assign a form to somebody. You can also tag it. So for instance, a form may be specific to a product or a service that you offer, and so you can say, okay, I want any form entries from that to automatically be tagged as well. And then a slightly more advanced setting, if after somebody completes the form, you want to redirect them to a thank you page with additional resources or something like that, you can put the URL here, and then after a couple of seconds, once somebody has submitted a form, we will then redirect people there. So yeah, let's take a look at how that form looks like. So that opens my browser, and you can see I have the new customer form, and then I can basically fill that in, right? So I can say, okay, I've got $50,000, and I'm going to put my email in, and then phone number, and then I can kind of submit that. So that's now submitted. So if we go back to Blue and go to do, we can see that there's now a new to-do under qualified prospects, and you can see that it's automatically been assigned to myself and automatically tagged by product and service. So you can see how between forms and automations, how you can really start to build your process up, and it's really really quite powerful for that as well. The other great thing about forms is that you don't just have to share the link, but you can actually embed it. So we provide you with an iframe, and you can choose the width and height to best fit your website. And then you can essentially copy your code. If you know what you're doing, you can do it yourself, or if not, you can just send that to your engineering team or your developer, and they can embed that into your website. So yeah, so I hope that gives a good understanding of how Blue can be used for as a sales CRM. I say we take a much simpler approach than most systems, but it does tend to work quite well, because I think the key thing about sales CRMs is that sales team need to be able to actually use it, right? And if something is too complex and it's too difficult to get the data in and to manage it, they end up going back to either chat or offline methods, and then suddenly you can't see the status of your sales process across all your customers. So yeah, I think it's very important that it's something that's usable as well. I think as a final point on sales CRM as well is the ability to export data in and out, because obviously a lot of customers, they already have data from some other system, right? And they're looking to switch to Blue. So with that, we have ability to both import and export data by CSV, so kind of comma separated value files, which essentially is like an Excel file. And what's great is that you can essentially do an export, and then that's ready in just a few seconds. And then from there, you can open it, and you can visualize your data in some business intelligence tools or anything else that you need to do, right? If you want to run some kind of metric analysis or that kind of stuff. So yeah, very, very easy to get data in and out. And within each deal, you can see here, every time something happens to a particular to-do, it's all logged, right? So you can see the activity of everything that's happening. And this helps to keep everybody accountable, right? Because every time somebody drops a comment or they change something, they change even a custom field, right? If I change this from 10,000 to 20,000, it will say who's updated an amount, when it happened, and what the amount change was. So it really helps to see the history of the deal as well. And at a more global level, you can also see that at the activity level for the entire project. So major changes to the project, like creating a new field or creating a new list, those are then listed across in the project. Yeah, Elma, anything else you wanted us to focus on that, or was that a decent overview for sales CRM?
Oh, that's very decent. I think we learned a lot. Even myself, I learned a lot. Like this is also something that I could use like before live streams, especially the forums. I can collect questions from the viewers and I can organize the questions before the live stream. And it will be easier for me to do that now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So there are questions. Okay. So one of the first question is that can one account be used for multiple brands? And if so, how easy it is to switch between the brands?
Okay, great question. So right now with Blue, essentially, you can create as many projects as you want. You can also group these projects in folders, right? So for instance, you could have different projects for different teams, something like this, right? And then you can also color code your folders to keep those organized. And this is one organizational account. If you want to have completely separate brands, so as you see here, for instance, we've got the Blue logo and Blue, you can create different companies and then instantly switch between them, right? So for instance, this is my company called MAD, which is a kind of product design company, and I can switch between the two. However, each organization needs its own paid account, right? So we do support instantly switching between brands, but you do need to pay for multiple accounts for that to happen. That said,
Okay.
I think in the future, probably, towards the end of the year or early next year, we may be changing our kind of overall plan structure to allow kind of unlimited workspaces per client as well, right? But that's not yet in the works.
Okay. And another question is so the calendar is a two-way sync. It is. Let me just
Okay,
revise them
so yeah, that's
again.
a great question. So right now it's not. It syncs from Blue to your personal calendar. It doesn't sync the events from your personal calendar into Blue. All right, so
Okay, so
it's
it's
really,
one way.
yeah, essentially the idea is to be able to open your calendar app and to see the to-dos on your calendar app. That's the main use case right now. Yeah.
Okay, and is there a way to automatically pull in leads to the prospects tab in the pipeline, automatically from forms or right?
Yeah. So okay. So that's a good question. So essentially, what I showed here is doing that. So basically, this form, when somebody submits this form, we've said save form entry to qualified prospects. So every time somebody submits this form, a to-do will be created that has all the details that the customer filled in, right? So yeah, absolutely. That's the whole point.
Okay, so yes, we did the demo of that, but we have to ask it again. And in terms of integration, can you integrate with other applications? And do you have API or do you have Zapier
Yeah.
and
So
Tably?
that's a great question. So yeah, we definitely we do have Pably Connect for sure. We actually have a really great relationship with them, so we can also provide our Blue customers with great deals to Pably Connect because we have a lot of joint customers, and essentially that allows data from 800 other applications to come into Blue, right? So you can actually integrate from other applications and get data into Blue. We don't yet have it the other way out, where you get data from Blue outside, but you can get data in from over 800 applications. We also do have an API. So this is it's definitely on the technical side. So one needs to be you need to be a developer to use it, but essentially, yeah, you can generate You can generate a token. You can give that potential expiration date. You get a secret, which again is a kind of developer thing. And then once you have that, you can essentially, we've got a kind of API playground where developers can write queries and they can test the API to see the results, and then they can essentially copy the curl and integrate with that. So yeah, and what's great is that we have 100% API coverage. So every single feature in Blue has this kind of public API that you can use to integrate and so on. So it's very, very powerful.
Nice. That's really good. And okay, so the next question is it possible to create a sales landing page with embedded video for directly connecting with the prospects?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So no, you can't create a landing page directly in Blue. So essentially, we just support the form part. You can either have the form by itself, and you can also add a description to the form if you want to make that a bit fancier, but it's not a full landing page, right? So normally what happens is that our customers use other tools to create landing pages, and then the call to action in the landing page links to the form, right? Or they embed the form, towards the bottom of the landing page once the customer's been able to read the landing page.
Okay, and so this is a question about passwords. So do you have any plans to move from Magic Link or OTP to a password-based system?
Yes, we do. It's a common, very common request.
Request? Mhm.
We did the technical changes required for that have been done already. So we will be able to support kind of single sign-on through a lot of different kind of providers, and also with the password as well. I think the reason why we didn't originally go with password is that we're trying to keep our team very, very lean overall as an organization, and I think the overhead of managing all the security around that is something that we didn't want to tackle right away, and so we went for a relatively easy route, which was one-time password that expires in 15 minutes, because we felt that was kind of a very, very safe route. But yeah, I do understand that sometimes you want to log in very, very quickly, and it's nice to just type the password. So yeah, we will be supporting that in the future.
Okay, that's really good to hear. Yeah, because I am also looking for that. And so another question is, I heard that you run an agency. So Blue is developed for your company. Is it a completely different company?
Yeah, it is a completely different company. So it's registered separately, and we have some slightly different partners in each organization. Obviously, I'm in both, and also we share an office. So this is our agency office, but then Blue team also use this office as well. So we have I think the two teams have a very tight working relationship, and also I think what's great is that we get constant feedback from the team at MAD, which is an agency, on how best we can use, modify Blue and look at roadmap. So I think that's really helped us build a good product as well.
Okay. And another question is maybe not requested enough, but some advanced custom field to validate input data using regex in forms.
Sorry,
Are there
can you
any
repeat?
plans? So the question is, um, so are you going to have advanced custom field to validate input data using regex in forms?
For in terms of custom fields, the ones that we're aware that are quite requested and that we plan to work on next are two. One is the date field, so you can have multiple dates within one to do, and the other one is formula fields. So essentially, you can calculate values based on the values of other fields. So this is something. These are the two that are kind of on the immediate kind of roadmap that we want to do. In terms of like validating data, are you talking about more like conditional statements, things like this?
I am not sure. Let me scroll down to see if Okay, no, there isn't a possible. There's no follow up on that.
Okay.
So, okay, let's just leave it like at that. And is it possible to add Google Excel documents inside the project?
Yeah, so you can. The best way to do that. So for instance, you can you can obviously upload kind of any files to a project, right? So we've got a files tab. So let me switch to let me switch to a project that has a lot of files. So you can see here that we've got, you know, 982 files and 6.31 gigabytes of storage here, right? And you can also switch the views. So we've got a whole bunch of different types of files, and so those can be uploaded. If you want to have, instead of files hosted here, but you want to have like a link to an online version of Excel or Google document, the best way to do that is actually via a custom field. So for instance, if every if every deal you're going to have a Google Doc with a proposal, what I would suggest is that you create a custom field called proposal link, and then you make that into a URL, and then you click create. Then you can drop the Google Doc link here, and then you'll have a one-click access, because you can just click once and it will open a new tab with Google Doc right there. So that's a nice easy way to be able to access those kind of online documents, within one click when you're in Blue.
Okay, and let's look up the question because we have a lot of questions. Okay, so this is really awesome. So, do you guys have a client portal?
Sorry, what was that?
Client portal, so where the clients can log in. So, I think what
Ah,
he mean by the client portal is your projects where the clients can log in.
so yeah, so actually, we, a lot of companies use Blue as a way to communicate with their customers, right? And really, that's
Right.
also why we built it in the first place for MAD, right? We wanted to get away from email and WhatsApp and other methods of communication, just centralize everything. So if I head over to the People's tab, essentially you can see that under Add People, there's kind of 5 choices, right? So obviously you can have an administrator that's got a lot of access and a team member, but you can also create a client. And so essentially you can enter the email and then send an invite. They will get an invite, and then once they join, they will only see this project and they won't be able to create their own project, while team members in your organizations can create their own projects, right? So basically the client will just see a slightly simplified version of the project. So normally they don't see kind of forms and settings. And then they can work with you. They can create items. You can tag them to notify them. They can leave comments, upload files, and so on. So that's how um, you know companies use Blue as a client portal. They create a specific project for that client. They invite them in, and then they use that as a kind of discussion forum and as a way to track work.
Right. And I believe this is also part of the client portal. So can we set our own CNAME on Blue?
Yes, we do support that. We launched this recently as part of our kind of white label offering. So in the future, we actually want to have Blue to become a completely customizable system where you can put your own logo, have your own CNAME, to run it on your own domain, and also the emails that get sent out are also from your email addresses, not from ours. So from a client perspective, it would look like you built your own amazing system, right? But actually, we're powering everything behind the scenes, and so you don't have to worry about keeping things running. Right now, we have a kind of early release version of this where we just have the custom domain. This is right now has a special deal. It's $20 a month. It's a separate add-on to any kind of special pricing that we may have. So this does need to be purchased separately. But yeah, we do support that. So you can run it on a subdomain like projects app.yourcompany.com or app.yourcompany.com.
Okay, good. And okay, so this user said, I heard some performance issues. The Blue is quite slow. So he's from Malaysia and he's wondering which country is Blue data being hosted,
So
and
yeah,
has the performance issues been looked into?
yeah, so good question. It's actually right now we run things out of Singapore, and then we're about to switch to have a kind of multi data center setup where we'll have a data center in Europe and also one available in the US. So then Blue can be equally fast for everyone, regardless of where they are. In terms of performance issues, yeah, I think we've grown a lot in the last 18 months, especially this year. I think we have had a few issues. Now that you can see that during the demo it's been pretty fast. I'm not running a sort of offline version of Blue. This is the real one that everybody uses, right? But yeah, and that actually went up to the point where even last week we had, I think, our first downtime for about 2 years. Which we managed to solve, but obviously, yeah, it's the number of customers and so on has caused a bit of stress on our systems. But this is something that we've been working really hard to make sure, because we know that if you use a tool every day and it's a key part of your business, obviously it has to be online all the time, and also you want it to be super fast, right? Because you don't want to be waiting around to do stuff. So yeah, I think right now it's running pretty well. And I think we increased our capacity by about 2.5x since last week, and then we plan to basically triple capacity again within September. So yeah, we're definitely taking it pretty seriously in terms of making sure that things are performant.
Okay, and let me see. I'm looking at so many tabs right now. Questions are coming from everywhere. So, okay.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Has anyone asked about real-time documents? I don't understand the question, but can you
Okay.
understand?
I mean, that's a great question, because that's something that we're actually working on right now. Essentially, we've had quite a few requests to be able to create simple documents in Blue that people can collaborate on. And so that's going to come out quite shortly. Essentially, the first version of that will be that every project gets a real-time wiki. It's essentially a way to store knowledge and collaborate. And as other people are editing the wiki, you can see that in real time, very much like on Google Docs or Microsoft Word Online. And so that's a great way to collaborate, to store, standard operating procedures, policies, anything that needs to be in the document, you can then store there. And then as a sort of V2 of that, we'll then be launching the ability to create individual documents directly within Blue as well. So that will be, I think people find that really, really useful. And then in future, sharing these documents online as web pages and things like this. So I think, so that's definitely coming. I think for Wiki, we're just testing that internally, putting the last kind of touches on that. And then we really look forward to getting that out there. Your listeners, Alma, they can actually visit our community forum. That's ask.blue.cc, and they can see all the kind of previews of our upcoming features there, because we have a very collaborative kind of working process with our customers to build new features. So we're always posting, in progress videos of the work and so on.
Okay, and when do you plan to update the members view so admins can easily see or add more details about users and their assigned projects?
Yeah, so I think for members, I think there's two pain points that we've identified with the member management right now. So one is people want to see one person and they want to understand what's on their plate across all projects, right? Instead of just on a per project basis. So that's one thing that we're going to be adding. The other thing that I've also heard quite a bit is that people want to essentially add custom fields to members across the entire organization. So for instance, they can put something like department, or they can put other key data, right? Employee number, things like this. And so that's also something that we plan to do. It's not in our immediate roadmap for the next couple of months, but it's definitely one of the most requested things. So I think that's something that we'll be tackling after we've shipped the current features that we've worked on.
Okay, and VJ is asking how can he store SOPs for his team?
Yeah, great question. So I would say with the upcoming wiki feature, I would say that's the best way to do it, because you can create an SOP project, you can have the wiki tab, and then you can basically have this real-time document, and you can have everything on there, and it will be, as you create different sections and titles, it will have an automatic table of contents that's created as well. So I think that will be perfect. And we're also going to be launching the ability to turn off features for projects that you don't need. So in that case, you could create an SOP project and you could turn off all the features except wiki, and then you just have this project that is this kind of infinite scroll, SOP. And then you can just invite your team to that project, and they can access it anytime.
Okay, and does Blue have a time tracker?
No, we don't have time tracking yet. We've had hundreds and hundreds of requests for this, and I think it's really useful. At MAD, we do track time with our team at our agency. We use other tools for now for this. I think it's definitely something that we want to do in the future, but I also know how complex it is, because time tracking is not just about tracking time. It's also about the rate, the cost rate of the individual, the rate that you're going to bill the client, different billable rates for different clients, and then all the reporting that goes alongside that, right? And then being able to export those reports. So we know it's not a trivial thing to build, and that's really why we haven't built it yet. I think we want to do a really good job at it, but we need to kind of spend time thinking through how that's going to work, right?
Okay, and is there a way to share a folder template externally with template files?
Okay. So basically, a way to share files outside, right? Like the
Right.
same way. Yeah, that's also in final testing right now. So you'll be able to go to the Files tab. You'll be able to kind of right-click and then turn on a sharing link, and then share that link out to anybody. And so that anybody without a Blue account will be able to access that link and then download the file. So yeah, that's coming very shortly.
Okay, so next question, is there a high level view that can be shared, like a shareable link with management customers to keep track? And high
Okay.
level view means, because I asked what specifically is the high level view, so means that they can only view high level milestones and not the task inside the milestones.
Okay. Yeah, great question. So right now, the only way we don't have the ability to share a project publicly as a link, right? But you can invite people as a view only or comment only, but they will be able to see all the to-dos in the project. What we want to do next year is work on essentially building custom permissions. So you can create your own user roles where you can say, okay, I want to invite person into Blue, into this project, but they can only see to-dos that are tagged with this specific tag, or only on a specific list, right? And so on. And so then that would give you the ability to mark certain items as milestones, and then that person can only see the items tagged as milestones, right? So that would be the way to handle that. Yeah.
Okay, and does Blue have any integrations with Git versioning, such as GitHub or Bitbucket?
That's a good question. No, we don't have. I say the only integrations we have at the moment are the ones through Public Connect, but it is one way right now. So we don't have a two-way kind of integrations. But I think once we finish our webhooks, then that essentially will be able to do a two-way integration. So that could also be. I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe Sarah, you can check if Pably also supports GitHub and GitLab. But yeah, basically any tool that Pabbly supports will then be able to have that kind of two-way sync with. Yeah.
Okay, and okay, someone is
Yeah.
asking.
They
Also,
do have
they do.
yeah.
Okay, so we can do that via Public Connect, the
Yeah.
GitHub integration. And they are asking where you are doing this webinar if you are in Singapore.
No. We are in Cambodia.
Right.
Yeah. So
So I
yeah.
actually said that earlier, but I just want they asked probably they did not they weren't here earlier. So we still need to
Just a
ask that.
little, just a little add on with the Public Connect. For someone who asked about sync calendar, you can actually send the event from Google Calendar to Blue as well. So that's like a two-way thing if you want to include Public Connect.
So in that way, it can do a two-way sync, right?
Yeah.
Because yes. So one way is direct integration, and that if they want the second way or the way back, then they need to do it via Public Connect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So
Okay.
they will be
yeah.
able to send events from Google to Blue as well.
So yeah. So this way, when I'm sharing my screen, would be from Blue to Google Calendar, and then by Public Connect, you can do Google Calendar back to Blue.
Got it.
Yeah.
And is Blue, as in BLUE and BLOO, are they different or same brands?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, great question. So we actually rebranded a little bit earlier this year. So yeah, BLOO was our old kind of company name and app name, and then we rebranded to Blue. But actually, very few people noticed because we were very small at the time. This is actually going back to our original name, which was Blue, BLUE. But this was years ago when we were tiny. I think we had like maybe 4 or 5 customers only, and then we decided to go BLOO, and then I decided to change again. So that tells you a lot about me, maybe.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Um,
So let's do the next question. Answer the next question. So, do the clients count as a user?
no, they do not. But actually, in Blue, we don't have any limits on users, so we don't charge per user. So yeah, it doesn't really matter from our point of view. You can invite as many people as you want.
Okay, and to clarify, can I share a folder or files to anyone without the other person having to have a Blue account?
So right now, not yet, but we are just finalizing and testing that feature. So essentially, very shortly, you'll be able to do that. So you'll be able to go on any file or folder, right click, create a share link, and then share it out to the world. And it will work very much like sharing a file on Dropbox. So they will see a web page, they'll see the details of the file, and then there'll be a download button.
Okay, good. And where is the Blue team located?
Yeah, so we're in Cambodia. We've got one of my partners is in Vietnam. I travel a lot for work as well, so I'm not always in Cambodia. Often in Europe or kind of towards the US side of the world. But yeah, the core team, works out of this office in Phnom Penh, Cambodia.
Okay, and can we integrate with Slack?
I think right now, in terms of the sending data to Slack when something happens in Blue, not yet, no, because we don't have the webhooks ready yet. From Pabbly, you can do Slack to Blue, right?
Okay. Can you do Bluetooth Slack via Public? I think so, right?
Yes, but not yet, because we don't have we need to finish a bit of technical setup on our side to enable the two-way setup from Pabbly. So right
Okay.
now, it's just from Pabbly to us, right?
Okay, got it. And are there any expiration to file to download files?
In terms of, so when you share a link to a file, you can then turn off the sharing at any point. There's no automatic turning off. So if a file is shared publicly and somebody has a link, that link will be active, forever. But then you can then turn that off if you no longer want to share the file.
Okay, and for the sharing feature, do you have any ETA?
I'm always hesitant to provide precise timelines for anything, because the nature of building products is it's just complex and difficult, and things come up. I would say for this, we really do have a working version internally that we're testing. So with that in mind, I would say probably we'll release that to a beta towards the end of this month or early October. And normally we tend to leave things in beta for a while, because we like to give people a chance to try things out and test it out. Our approach to beta is quite interesting as well. We have a completely open beta. Essentially, just by changing the URL that you access Blue on, you can try new features out. So it's beta.app.blue.cc, and you'll see all your usual data, and you'll see the new features as well, right? So essentially, we'll probably be deploying that to that part of Blue for towards the end of this month or early October. And it probably will stay there for a few weeks as we get feedback from the customers that do use beta. If we need to make any changes, we make that, and then once we're very, very confident that it's working how we want it to work, then eventually it gets promoted, and it's basically available on the main version of Blue.
Okay. Can we use our own branding when sharing?
Not yet. I think for now it will be on our kind of subdomain. So it'll be like files.blue.cc, and then another bit of a URL, and it will have some Blue branding on that page. And I think really the thing is there for us, it's a great way to potentially acquire new customers as well, right? Being able to showcase the system that's sharing a file. I think for the future, once customers that have the white label add-on, then they will be able to have also file sharing completely white labeled as well, right? But that's not something that that we offer right now, right?
Okay, so Justin is saying that he loves that beta setup that you talked about. And do you have a URL for that for the Blue users?
Yes, it's you can actually you can find it on our website as well. So if you go to blue.cc and you go on the footer, you'll see a link under Get Blue. You'll see beta version, which is the last link, or almost the last link there on the footer. And then that page kind of explains the concept of our open beta, and also there's a link to log in. And you can use the same login that you use to the main version. So all your data will be there, and you'll be able to see some new features as well. So for instance, form redirects right now is on beta. So that's something that you'll see it if you're on beta, but then you won't see it if you're on the main version.
Okay, and is it possible to have multiple to-do lists under one project and ability to organize projects into folders, subfolders?
Okay, so in terms of projects in folders, yes. So you can see here, as an example, I have a few different folders here. So, like mad internal projects, and then, my clients, and so on. So yes. And then in terms of the first part of the question about multiple to-do lists in a project, so yeah, so each one of these columns is a to-do list, right? So I can say, to do one, to do 3, and so on, right? So each one of these is a list.
Okay, that looks good. Oh, I really love it. We have a lot of questions.
Yeah, that was great. It's awesome. Happy to.
Yes, and this is a smart way to allow us, the users, to beta test. So this is good. And okay, so we have to ask this again. So it's confirmed that Blue BLOO has changed its name to Blue. Yes, so it's the same.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, with that, let me bring our website online, so you can actually see on our blog, we did we did actually write this up on why we did this. So there's a bit of an explanation as well. I think key reasons was for Blue in the early days, we also couldn't afford a good domain with Blue, because generally they tend to be on the expensive side because it's a short word. And also I think we got kind of we had enough of sharing BLOO, our name, with it's a famous brand of kind of cleaning products, and also it's quite a funky kind of Korean rapper. So we were like, okay, maybe we can change back. So yeah, but yeah, blue is my favorite color. So yeah, there you go.
Right.
We have, I don't think you can see that, but we have a Vespa in our office, which is the color blue as well. Not sure.
Oh, okay.
But,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, let's go to some comments.
Yep.
Blue is really great for client management with simple onboarding, no complicated flows and features, and really clean and easy platform. So thanks for that.
Yep.
And he also said that, wow, he never knew that grouping feature by just dropping field in database view is actually available. So that's really good. And let's see. Fernando is saying forms is so awesome. Thank you for that. And, okay, let's see.
You still there, Elma? Okay.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm
Yeah,
going through
great.
a lot of comments. You have a lot of comments. It's like, okay. Another user is saying, "Hey, I'm seriously looking into getting Blue since I only need a simple project management tool without all the complexities of other tools like Nifty PM." So yes, Blue is really simple to use. Like you don't need an onboarding for that.
Hmm.
You can just it's very intuitive. You can feel your way around it. So yes, it's easy. And real-time documents. And just when I thought the questions are finished, let's see. It looks like we have more questions that came in. Just give me a moment. Because I tried to group the questions as much as possible, but if the questions come in a little bit later, then I couldn't add. Okay, folders of folders. Okay, so sorry, my question about folders, subfolders wasn't answered. Okay. What I see in the sidebar is folders. Can I add a folder under the folder?
Sorry, yeah. Understand. So we don't have subfolders yet. So we just have one level of project folders.
Okay, and this one, the question is also multiple to-do lists. I saw one to-do list with a Kanban board. Can I create more than one main to-do list?
So yeah, in the Kanban board, each of these is one to-do list. But if you want more than one Kanban board, you essentially need to create a new project, right?
Right. So one project, one Kanban board.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And this Blue currently have a stable MRR.
Yep. So I think for what we've done traditionally, so we started on a very small base, kind of before COVID. We were very very small company. Then I guess we got lucky in some ways. We had good timing with the AppSumo launch, which was December. So just when the world started to become aware of COVID and so on, and then we onboarded quite a lot of companies during our kind of AppSumo campaign, which lasted. Normally, they're only supposed to last a couple of months. For us, we ended up staying on there. I think it was until August. Yeah, so we stayed on there for like quite a while, and then after that, we kind of moved away from AppSumo, but still doing our kind of our deals, kind of lifetime deals, which we've been kind of running, um, for about a year. And then this year, we then started focusing on growing our kind of MRR as well. But I would say I think the right now is probably growing at something like 20% a month, something like this. So it's quite good growth. But I think behind that question is really the question of is Blue going to disappear in the next few
Mhm.
months or something like that, right? And then everybody's that spent kind of time adding their projects and working on there are left with nothing. So I think the answer to that is no, because it's I already have another business which is quite successful. We've got many clients, um, many years of operation. So I think with that, we've got a very, very stable base in terms of building Blue on top of, right? So for me, I'm committed for the long term, right? We've been at it for 4.5 years, and I hope to still have Blue running, in 20 years, right? There's no, we had no outside investment or anything like this. It's really something that we want to do because we love doing it, right?
Okay. And next question. So did you answer the question on expiration of downloads or uploaded files? So we just answered this. Let's answer this again. So if
Yeah.
you upload,
So
download,
yeah.
okay, so no expiration. So thanks for that, Ernest. And someone is asking, where are you from? Because your English is really good.
So I'm actually half Italian and half English. And I was in London for 12 years, so that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I believe we covered all the questions now. So that's really good. And thanks so much. And if you have any more questions, I'll do post the link later on to YouTube and you can watch it again. And it's also searchable in our groups by searching for hashtag Elma Live. And we are also going to Manny has been really nice to give us 3 licenses for Blue to give away, and I'll do the giveaway towards the end of the month after this. So I'm going to collect more questions. I'm giving you guys more chance to know Blue, and at the same time you can ask questions. And Sarah is actually in our groups, Sumo Deal and Bring Again, and Sarah can answer questions about Blue. All right. So again, thank you so much, Manny and Sarah,
Yeah.
and thank you,
Pleasure.
everyone. We see you again next week. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.